And welcome back, boys and girls, for another special edition of the Michael Deacon program. It's that time again. Another dose of me. How delightful indeed. My guest this evening is Mr. Alfred Webre. He has been here on the program before, and I hate to make him wait this long, but I do want to thank all of you out there for tuning in yet again. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for allowing us into your hearts and into your minds. Here we are again, on a night like this. And my goodness, it's been too long, folks, way too long. No co-host here tonight. We are flying solo. And of course, I'll be checking in with you in the chat room here. Hello to you out there, and of course, those who will catch this on the podcast rendition of the program. Yes, hello to you. And of course, international listeners out there, Guten Morgen. I hope you're prepared for tonight, everyone. Get your drinks and food ready, whatever gimmick you have. It's all fine with me. We would also like to hear from all of you here tonight. But don't call in just yet. Hold on just a little bit. Let us get the show rolling. And then feel free to call in. Now, without further ado, let's bring in Mr. Alfred Webre, who is patiently waiting, and I hate making the guest wait this long. Alfred, how are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Actually, I don't feel that I was waiting at all. That was quite a concert that we were treated to there.
Oh my, you heard that?
It was, oh yeah, that was beautiful music. I really enjoyed it.
You know, so, I never know how people are going to take that music, so I'm glad you liked it. And, you know, I wanted to introduce you here, but we are running a little late, so I do apologize. It happens. Technology is not on my side, especially where I am right now. I'm not in my usual position, but either way, we got the show done, and I'm glad you're here. We've been meaning to do this for a long time. And matter of fact, the last time you were here was back in 2017 or 2018. I can't even remember now, but the world has changed so much since you've been here.
Yeah.
I can't even believe it.
Well, you know, we're on a spiral, and the spiral is either going upward or downward. I am happy that I'm on the upward spiral ascending. What can I say?
Oh, yes. And Alfred, before we begin, can you tell the newer listeners a little bit about yourself, your background? You have a fantastic resume, and I'm sure everyone is wondering how on earth did you get led down this rabbit hole?
Well, I'm if I look at my accomplishments through my books, I've got 10 books out there, and each one is like almost a milestone.
Right.
And so I like to look at myself as founding, which I'm credited with founding the science of exopolitics through my 2000 book, Exopolitics. Exopolitics is the science of relations among intelligent lives in the multiverse. And what occurred to me there is that DARPA CIA's secret time travel unit time traveled my book, Exopolitics, from 2005 when it was published as a paperback back to 1971 when I was general counsel of the Environmental Protection Administration. And a time traveler who was in DARPA's headquarters in 1971 was sitting around a table with two other people, and they brought a satchel there containing materials brought from the future, and they opened it, and out popped a copy of Exopolitics by Alfred Lambremont Webre, brought from the future. And in 1971, I was general counsel of the Environmental Protection Administration of the city of New York under Mayor John Lindsay, and the secret DARPA CIA time travel unit brought me in and had me give them a talk under kind of false pretenses. There were about 50 of them, and they mocked up that I was giving a talk to a group on the environment, but they were really the secret time travel unit in the CIA. And they had my book from 2005, and they wanted to see what I was like in 1971. So that was my introduction to the time space, to the chronogarchy, what I call the secret time travel government. And so I've written many articles and books around that issue, and I have two of my books in 2022 are on the chronogarchy. One is called The Chronogarchy, the Secret Time Travel Government, and an interdimensional hidden power structure monitoring the time space of Earth as its domain of influence and operating as a secret government using quantum access time travel technologies to carry out its operations and mandates. And I also wrote a time travel novel, which is called Timelines of the Chronogarchy. That's a NaNoWriMo award-winning novel that came out at the same time as the Chronogarchy. And now I have two books out. One is coming out the day after Labor Day, called A Revelation on the life and teachings of Jesus, and its point of departure is the testimony of eyewitnesses to the time travel video documentaries of the crucifixion and the resurrection of Joshua ben Joseph, the historical Jesus, and how those eyewitnesses' accounts line up with the synoptic gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and also with supposed revelations, channeled revelations as the Urantia book, and what that says about who Jesus really was or is. And I also have a book which is out now, which is on pre-order at Amazon, and it's called Time Screen, the 100-year chronogarchy plot to break up America using time travel, Trump, and treason. And that dates back from January of 1977, when I was told, as I was joining the Futurist unit at Stanford Research Institute, I was told by the chief futurist there, who had a 50-year contract with the CIA, a 50-year futures, that the United States is going to break up in the future, and that the whole the persona of Donald Trump is sort of a central character in the constitutional breakup, sort of the balkanization of the United States. And this goes back to the late 1890s, where the chronogarchy, using Ingersoll Lockwood, an 1890s member of the New York Bar, and what we call a chronogarchy embedded local handler of time travel operations, published and sort of embedded in that time space two books that are part of this operation. One book is called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey.
Right.
Baron Trump is Donald Trump's son's name. And the other one is called 1900, or The Last President, which is sort of the plot of what Donald Trump is supposed to do in this plot to disassemble the Constitution of the United States. So what we've done in this book is to take apart a chronogarchy plot that goes back 100 years to disassemble the US. People who are fans of Netflix can go in there. There are a lot of time travel movies on Netflix, and you can go and watch Timeless, for example, which is a time travel series, and they kind of give away how the chronogarchy operates. And that is that for each time period, they kind of have operatives that are implanted in that time period. So if the chronogarchy wants to get something done in that time period, like they wanted to get something done in the 1890s, they wanted to have these two books out. Well, they had Ingersoll Rand, this member of the New York Bar. Normally we would call him an Illuminati, and he can do things for the chronogarchy that are not totally within his time frame. And so that is what I've been doing. And,
You've been busy.
I've had a good time doing it. What can I tell you?
Yeah, it's pretty exciting times.
Dealing with I just turned 80 this year in terms of Earth time.
Oh, you just turned 80.
Yeah. And so I've had now I've had 50 years of real-time interaction with the DARPA CIA time travel unit as they've been monitoring me and monitoring my works and meeting with me, and so this is part of my thing. It's funny because we're in a time-space continuum, and the deep state wants humanity to think that the real threat is from outer space. Oh, look, we're just a small planet in outer space, and there are these advanced civilizations out there that are going to invade and take us over. But no, the threat is from time, and we're controlled from time, from other times, by the chronogarchy that can reach in from the past and the future and control events like they're attempting to do now. So that's the sum. And what I do is I write them all down. You can just go to Amazon, put my name in, Alfred Lambremont Webre, or we now have founded Omniversity as a kind of a learning platform in exopolitics, exosciences, sciences, and spiritual sciences. And just go to omniversity.us and you'll find all of the books there. And then you click on omniversity.info and you go to classes and courses that you can take in these areas. So we're just trying to empower people in this new sensitivity, this new knowledge of multi-dimensional knowledge. So that's a bit about myself.
And Alfred, what do you make of the skeptics out there who are saying things like, well, Alfred is just telling lies. These are all made up stories. What do you make about those folks out there?
Well, the thing is that, it's very easy to say this, but let me kind of back up here. We live in a world of science. We live in a world of scientific observation, of observation using replicable, using uniform protocols and replicable results. And that's science. And if you go to, that's the scientific method. And if you go to omniversity.us, you'll see my 3 books on the Omniverse: Universe, Multiverse, Omniverse. The universe was discovered in about 3200 BC by the Sumerian astronomers as an organic singularity of time, energy, space, and matter. And we're in one of multiple universes. The multiverse was developed around 1895 by the American scientist William James to mean the totality of all universes. And in the year 2014, there were 3 books that came out by 3 different scientists discovering and documenting the Omniverse. And what the Omniverse is the multiverse, that is the collection of all of the universes, plus the spiritual dimensions, that is the afterlife, the intelligent civilization of souls, spiritual beings, and source, that we now study through the scientific method, not through belief. And my book on the Omniverse, my first of 3 books on the Omniverse, was one of those books in 2014. So I'm credited with discovering the Omniverse. And my book on the Omniverse came about as a result of a request from Oxford University Press, which is sort of a division of Oxford University, which is a cathedral of learning, to write a book on extraterrestrials and the law. That is, how can our civilization here on Earth acquire jurisdiction over, and how can our human laws acquire jurisdiction over all of these extraterrestrial civilizations in a vast universe, multiverse, and omniverse. So that's how I began to tackle this. So in response to what you said about questions, oh, Alfred is lying, it says, hey man, make my day. Come in and try to break up the scientific method in these books, because it's world class. You'll just hit your head against a stone wall. Yeah, we're here. We come to planets like this once in a myriad of millennia, and I've come with the revelations with these 10 books. So enjoy. You know, skeptic comes from the Greek word dog. I've had 8 years of classical Greek in my education, and 3 years of 8 years of classical Latin and 3 years of classical Greek. And skeptic comes from the Greek word dog. So, you know, they're kind of people who walk around trying to find little bones to pick, and they miss the main attraction. So if skeptics want to sniff and they want to bring their stuff to the main feast, bring it on.
Love that.
However, the Chronogarchy is an 800-page book, and you better start by reading and digesting the 800-page book and be prepared to defend your skepticism.
Very nice. Yes, we appreciate that, Alfred. And you know, you have to sort of throw these things out there every now and then to let the newer listeners know that, you know, none of this is really scripted at all. It's all very real. I didn't give you a list of questions to ask you, or vice versa. Nothing of that nature is going on here. And, you know, it's a good way to connect with newer people out there who, you know, come across you and they're like, well, he has a fantastic resume. How on earth did this or that happen? But Alfred, you mentioned Jesus Christ. Does that mean you believe in a God?
Well, those are two different questions, because right. you kind of mix questions as to whether Jesus is connected to God or not. If we go to my books on the Omniverse, I show clearly that we can prove through through our demonstrations of the existence of the spiritual dimensions of the Omniverse, and through the science of the Omniverse and through the science of the soul.
Yes, sir.
Using uniform protocols, for example, on soul memories of the afterlife, and over 7,000 cases of soul memories of the afterlife and replicable results, we can prove by the laws of social science, in the same way that we can prove that human beings exist and different types of human beings exist on this planet.
Right.
We can prove that different types of souls exist in the afterlife, that different types of spiritual beings exist, that different types of souls exist, that souls are holographic fragments of source, and that the principles of holography are that the whole, the entirety of the original hologram is in each fragment of the hologram. So in each human soul, there exists the totality of God as a matter of science. So that means that in each of our fellow humans that still has a soul, and there are many that don't because they've chosen to lose their soul to the invading AI, sentient artificial intelligence, or they've lost it to their own skepticism, or to a lot of, drugs, Satanism, murder, mayhem, immorality.
Politicians, yes.
Yeah. Then those humans that do have a soul, our souls are in fact fragments of God, and the totality of God is in them. And so that's why we say, Namaste, I salute the God within you. So that is the sort of my posture on the planet.
Yes, sir.
I'm a God soul fragment along with many other God fragments. I mean, with yourself, with myself, and with all the God fragments that are listening now. That's a matter of science, and I can prove that, and just go to omniversity.us and download the Omniverse books and have at it and upgrade yourself and really get into it during this lifetime. Get away from the dreck and move up to the ascended way of being. That's my challenge or exhortation to people.
And Alfred, the reason why I was asking is because you do have so many different religious groups out there who sort of see these alien beings as demonic. That's kind of where I was going with this sort of question.
Yeah. Well, no, if you look at the different exophenotypes, there are exophenotypes. There's the Draco-reptilian exophenotype, and our human exophenotype, which has been exopolitically in competition for the different planets in this solar system with the Draco-reptilians, ever since the Draco-reptilians attacked us in the Lyra constellation from their home base in the Draco constellation. We're kind of here on this planet as part of the human diaspora.
Yeah.
And in this solar system, we're all kind of human, on part of the human diaspora, and at sort of our high point here, we're in a very troubled solar system exopolitically, and at our high point we had verdant interplanetary pyramid-based advanced human societies on Tiamat, an advanced verdant planet, on Mars, an advanced verdant human planet, on Earth, an advanced verdant human planet, and on Venus. And of those, starting with a Draco human nuclear war in 705,000 years ago, as a result of that nuclear war, Tiamat was pulverized into the asteroid belt. That's what Tiamat is now, the asteroid belt. And 2 billion of the human souls that were incarnating there were moved by the universe administration to Earth, and they are now sort of incarnating here as humans. And Mars was a verdant planet, and it was damaged during this nuclear war and is now a pumpkin-shaped planet with a thin atmosphere and practically no vegetation, with reptiles on the surface, and with about 1 million human survivors under the surface that are our genetic cousins. And our human civilization on Earth sort of has its back to the wall because we've had multiple reptilian-led human Earth governments, because there's sort of a conspiracy whereby there are reptilian and archonic souls that incarnate into human bodies and are in the positions of authority in government, finance, media, politics, religions, such as the Vatican, and they have been trying to have a nuclear war on this planet and destroy it.
It seems like we're getting closer each day to that, by the way.
Yeah. So that's part of what we're trying to do. The one planet that has succeeded in getting ahead is Venus.
Venus.
Because, Venus won its war as an advanced human planet. Venus won its war against the invading AI, sentient artificial intelligence. The Venusians are now at 5D. They're sort of the older brothers. They're the protectors. There's some good news in that. There's news that they are now taking over the Earth's moon, so there's a positive aspect there. That is, I've heard some news that way. And during the Eisenhower administration, we had Valiant Thor,
right,
as a Venusian ambassador, a positive person at the Pentagon as part of sort of the inner cabinet of, at a time that between the Soviet Union and the United States, you could have, the reptilian beings in those could create a nuclear war to replicate Tiamat. So I've done a lot of interviews with people who've been on Venus, colleagues of mine who spent 6 weeks on Venus who interact with the Venusians, and they are sort of our mentors and our protectors at this time. And so this is part of exopolitics.
Yes, and what is exopolitics for those who've never heard this term before?
Yeah, it's like sociology. If you have the social science of sociology, it deals with the different social groups on Earth, or anthropology, the different types of groups of Homo sapiens. Exopolitics is that science that deals with relations among intelligent civilizations in the multiverse. And it is supposedly, or recognized, that it was established by my book, Exopolitics, that was published, in real time. I published it on the internet as a free ebook in the year 2000 to sort of change the whole dynamic of things. and that established the science of exopolitics. Now, the secret time travel government had time traveled it back to 1971. So humanity has multiple timelines going, which is why we've been able to preserve ourselves and not have been blown up. If you talk to a U.S. time traveler or chrononaut that I've interacted with a great deal, Andrew D. Bashago, he says that one of his tasks was to go from 1971 to a DARPA forward time base in 2045, where they gave them time scrolls, which were messages from the future to help the past get to the future successfully. And so what I've been doing, I've been working to integrate all of this data and to make this awareness public such that humanity starts thinking exopolitically, starts becoming aware of its being in a time-space holograms that are governed, that they are in an omniverse that is a dimensional ecology of a spiritual dimension, and that universes essentially are machines created and maintained by the spiritual dimensions for the purposes of soul development, i.e., we come and we incarnate in our various avatars to be, ourselves and develop, as Michael and as Alfred and as all of ourselves as soul development. The other task that we have as souls is to develop, create, and maintain the universes. So we not only incarnate and develop our souls that way, but more importantly, the intelligent civilization of souls, together with the spiritual beings in source, act as God in creating and maintaining all of the universes. Now, to give you a concept of the scale that we're dealing with, two scientists at Stanford have given a science-based estimate of the number of universes. We're in one of these universes. And their estimate is that the number of universes is 10 to the 7th to the 7th. And that number is so large that we don't have a name for it. But if we were to write it out in 12-point type or by longhand, that number would be more than 260 million miles long. And these are some of the issues that I detail more at length in my books on the Omniverse and in my courses at omniversity.us and omniversity.info.
Very nice. And of course, the reason I asked you if you believed in God or not, as you know, there's that, the Anunnaki and the Sumerians, what they believe in and how, human origins began. I was just curious what you thought of these ETs that claim that they are our gods.
Well, they're using God and gods in a very loose sense. I mean, if they are claiming that they genetically engineered various versions of the human beings, well, that's one thing. But the human beings is part of the human being is the incarnation of a divine soul. And that divine soul is connected to a source that is, we may be sort of entry level exophenotypes or humanoids on planet Earth when compared to a Venusian at the 5th dimension at 5D, or an Arcturian human who may be up at 7D, or say a Draco-reptilian that is at 4D. However, our souls are divine, and that is the difference.
That's what makes us special.
Yeah, and among the things that we have been able to prove, more probably than not, again, and I refer people to my books on the Omniverse, is that you and I know it depends. Our souls are based in the spiritual dimensions, and you, Michael,
Yes, sir,
and I may be leading 2 or 3 lives simultaneously. You may be incarnated here on Earth as Michael. You may be incarnated as something else on an avian planet. You may be leading 2 or 3 lives simultaneously because your basic soul is so advanced that it is developing itself with that kind of multitasking way. And same with me, and same with all of the listeners. I mean, it's all on an individual basis. But the basic function of universes is soul development that get lost in the drama. And we're on a particularly drama-filled planet because we're one of, according to some versions, some say 37, we don't know the exact number, of planets that has had sort of a Star Wars rebellion over the last several 100,000 years. And that is what my book, A Revelation on the Life and Teachings of Jesus, goes into, exploring that using the tool of the secret time travel video documentaries that DARPA CIA made of the historical crucifixion and resurrection of Joshua ben Joseph, Jesus of Nazareth. So there's a whole, and that book is available. You can get it on pre-order now on Amazon, and it'll be published within 10 days from now.
Yes, and can you explain what a chronovisor is?
Sure. We know from a number of the whistleblowers that there are secret time travel technologies in the that the Chronogarchy has developed in the national security state. And as far as we know right now, U.S. chrononaut Andrew D. Bashago has published 8 different technological modalities, 8 different time travel technologies. And the chronovisor is one of those 8. And the chronovisor was originally developed by two Vatican priests, Father Pellegrino Ernetti and Father Agostino Gemelli. And they used it to establish communications not only across time, but also from this dimension into the afterlife. That is, they initially established communication with the deceased father of one of the two priests using this, using the chronovisor. And basically, what the chronovisor is, we're in a time-space hologram, so that every event in time is happening now. It's happening now. It's all happening now at once. And we are the ones that are experiencing it in linear time. And so every event has an address in our time-space hologram. It has a date, a time, and a place. Those are its address. For example, Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address would be the spring of 1863 in Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, and you can send people there via a technology such as the plasma confinement chamber. But what chronovisors are, after the Vatican developed it and then subcontracted it to the US Defense Department and the CIA, they're both in 2D and in 3D. It's basically like a television set. Let's say, like the video monitor that you're looking at right now. And you would say, well, what do I want to do? I want to go to an event in the past or the future. Let's say I want to find out who's going to be US president in 2024, if anybody, right? Because there's a big question whether there is going to be a president in 2024, because there was a huge kerfuffle as to whether there was a president in 2020, because you had one party in interest, Donald J. Trump, saying that no. And ever since then, there have been election deniers, okay? And that's part of the unraveling of the United States, okay? So let's say that you want to go to November. I don't know what the date is, but let's assume that it's November 3rd or 4th, 2024, and you want to find out who's president, right?
Right.
You would go to a chronovisor, and let's say a two-dimensional one, and you would dial up November 3rd, 2024, and it would dial you up what is happening there. Or you could go to January 20th, 2025, and you would see who's being sworn in on the Capitol steps. Well, given the current cast of characters, it could be that the US is devolving into blue states and red states. So you're going to end up with a blue state president and a red state president. Because, as my book shows, right now in 2022, the Texas State GOP has adopted a plank for secession from the United States. Officially,
yeah,
as part of its platform.
Yeah.
And that has not happened since the Civil War. And 30% of Trump voters in vote-leaning states state, and I can, I want to quote this so that I get it. so I'm stating it exactly. A recent poll showing that a plurality of Trump voters in Trump-leaning states favor secession from the United States of America. About 33% of Trump voters in so-called red states say they'd personally fare better if their state, quote, became an independent country. And if you just go to the internet and put in the word map, Balkanized United States, you'll come up with maps, a whole wide variety of maps. You'll come up with one map that the KGB has of 9 nations inside the US. There are very, very determined interests that are working to break up the constitutional order of the United States. And I taught the US Constitution as an adjunct professor in the government department at the University of Texas.
That's right.
In the 1990s. And so I have a feeling for this. And so I'm saying that if I had a chronovisor right now and I went to...
We need one, that's for sure.
Yeah, but guess what? The Chronogarchy has one.
And these are, yes.
And the KGB has infiltrated it, and the deep state has infiltrated it. So we humans are the last people to know. So on the one hand, you have the 70 to 90% who are following Donald Trump, who was, if you follow my book, he was set up by the Chronogarchy, and with the series of books by Ingersoll Lockwood, Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey, which is set in Russia, and 1900, or The Last President. And my book now has detailed documentary evidence, both from NSA agents, CIA agents, KGB agents, that Donald Trump became a KGB agent for the last 40 years. And when Donald Trump was elected president, as was pre-identified in 1971, you had a KGB Russian agent committed to the breakup of America in the Oval Office in the guise of a patriot.
And does any of this...
A man who wants to make
yes.
the U.S. an autocracy, not a democracy.
And Alfred...
He wants to be another Mao.
Yes.
Another Xi, another Putin. And I know about those because my mother is from Cuba, and Fidel Castro
yes.
used to come to my grandmother's house for Sunday dinner.
Oh, really?
So I know all about autocrats, and they suck.
Oh, my.
Yeah. I mean, Castro it was a bunch of bullshit.
Yes.
People in Cuba earn $30 a month. Castro is a billionaire who had secret mansions. He just talked the game. He was an instrument of the Chronogarchy. So he's just another autocrat, as is the real Donald Trump. My book Time Screen documents a 40-year penetration of Russian intelligence into, quote, the real Donald Trump, becoming a deep cover Soviet asset, and Trump Tower becoming a known base of operations for the Russian mafia. That's who made Trump a billionaire, is the Russian mafia. With Russian intelligence asset Donald Trump winning of the US presidency in November 2016, as pre-identified by DARPA CIA time travel, a covert Russian spy became US president. accounting for the determination of the FBI and the CIA to remove and block Trump through the first Russian dossier, then through 2 impeachments, a managed 2020 U.S. presidential election loss, the Congressional January 6, 2021 Select Committee, the 8/8/2022 Lionsgate FBI search and seizure of Trump's headquarters at Mar-a-Lago on espionage grounds. I mean,
what do you make of this? I mean, I've never.
What we've done is that since we had access to the Chronogarchy, and since we've broken the key in the puzzle, we have made it transparent so that people who want to know and not be at effect of the network news or of the right-wing news or the left-wing news and really want to know what the facts are, can read the book and get on an even keel as to what's going down. In my humble opinion.
Yes, and Alfred, with all these things going on with Trump right now, what a timely matter it is. This is crazy.
Just starting. We are just now starting. We are just starting the time screen 100-year Chronogarchy plot to break up America using time travel, Trump, and treason. We are just now getting into it. In August 27, 2022, with the redacted affidavit being unsealed as of yesterday. And, we're all just like being manipulated beyond belief.
Yes, over 180 classified documents removed from Mar-a-Lago. That's what the affidavit was saying. And that's pretty crazy. Again, this is something we've never heard of happening before. What do you think is going to happen to the Don?
You know that Don is the name of the narrator of the book by Ingersoll Lockwood in 1890s, of the first of the 2 books called Baron Trump's Marvelous Underground Journey.
Yes, sir.
The narrator in that book is named Don, and there's even a character in there called Pence. That was planted by the Chronogarchy. What's going to happen? Well, what's going to happen is what we, the people, make happen. And so in this book, I lay out as much as possible to expose this plot and then to show solutions whereby we, the people, can take back our political power from the Chronogarchy, from this, Republican, Democrat oligopoly. It's a political oligopoly that controls us. It's a time travel, shadow government, and so we can take our power back. So my goal here, by releasing these 2 books simultaneously, one which says, "Oh, you think you know who Jesus is? You have no idea who Jesus is." That's the book, A Revelation on the Life and Teachings of Jesus. And we could go more in depth on that. And the second book saying, "Oh, you think the U.S. is going to stay together? You've got a second thing coming, because there's a plot to break up America using time travel, Trump, and treason." So that's my contribution to these times. And I want people to wake up. I want we, the people, to win, and we, the people, to wake up as a group. And that's why I'm doing this.
Yes, sir. And you are on the money here with parts of this country wanting to break up, indeed. And that's what they want to do to California as well. Back in 2017, Cal 3, if you look that up, they wanted to sort of come up with these divisions. I believe they wanted to divide us into 3 separate regions, I believe it was.
Yep. And you can find maps you can go on and find maps of the balkanized U.S. with Californian regions, the Empire of Texas, the Republic of Texas, the Confederacy, the Oregon and Washington, and they're all broken up into 9 or 10 different regions. And this is what was told to me in January of 1977 when I reported for work as a futurist to Stanford, to the Futurist unit at Stanford Research Institute in Palo Alto, California. It was called the Center for the Study of Social Policy, and it was from there that I did the work with the Jimmy Carter White House on the Carter White House Extraterrestrial Communication Project.
And by the way, was Jimmy Carter a abductee?
Yes. And yes, we have that. That is written up in one of my Omniverse books called Emergence of the Omniverse, the full recounting of his abduction. You can also go to exopolitics.com, our website, and Andrew Bashago and I gave a presentation in Washington State in 2017 in which we recounted the Jimmy Carter, Alfred Webre, Bashago abduction, in which Jimmy Carter was taken up into ships. I was taken up, and Andy Bashago was taken up, and he witnessed me up in the ships at that time.
And what was your initial reaction when all this was happening? Were you calm? Were you freaked out? What was running through your head there?
Well, it was. I was sort of. This happened to me in February of 1973, and in January of all of this stuff. I left in January 1973. I was still general counsel of the New York City EPA, and I decided at that point to leave and to go full time into extraterrestrial affairs. And the long and short of it is that it was through the Carter, Webre, Bashago abduction that I was introduced to exopolitics and began to develop exopolitics full-time as a profession, because I left New York City government in January of 1973, and I was abducted at the beginning of February of 1973. And that whole abduction was about three things. Number one, it was about preparing Jimmy Carter to be a human soul that reached the presidency, because all presidents, with the exception of John F. Kennedy and Jimmy Carter, who incidentally are half brothers. John F. Kennedy and Jimmy Carter are half brothers.
I didn't know that. Wow.
Yeah. Jimmy Carter's mother was Joseph Kennedy's, that's John F. Kennedy's father's secretary. She became pregnant, and Joseph Kennedy sent her back to Georgia. And she married there and had Jimmy Carter. So they're half brothers. And when Jimmy Carter was elected president in November of 1976, he sent a private emissary to meet with me at the Carlisle Hotel in New York. to say that he was very interested, because at that time I was a consultant and liaison to Chairman Henry B. Gonzalez of the House Select Committee on Assassinations, investigating the assassination of John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and Malcolm X. And he wanted President-elect Carter wanted me to be an intermediary to the committee, and he wanted to remain very much interested on that. At that time, during that luncheon at the Carlisle Hotel, the emissary invited me to Washington, D.C. during the interim. I went down in December of 1976 to one of those townhouses in Capitol Hill, and I met with Carter's inner circle, the people that they call them JC and the 12 Apostles. And they called him Peanut. They said, "Oh, you're going to work for Peanut?" Carter, what was a peanut farmer. So I was just there, and it was during that moment that the concept came to me for the Carter White House extraterrestrial communication study, which was the first human, non-military U.S. extraterrestrial communication study, because the earlier ones had been through the U.S. military, which is controlled by the reptilians, so that's how, and all of that we had actually figured it out up on the ships in 1973. You see, you're up there outside of time in your higher self. So then I was then acting it out at the Carter White House, at the White House level. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I can't even imagine being in front of the president talking about this sort of subject. It must have really blown you away.
Well, I dealt with the president's staff because there was a crucial meeting in October of 1977, after Carter was elected. We got the approval through the White House staff, and I was traveling between Palo Alto, California, and Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
And this is like contract research. And to make a long story short, I was invited to meet with an Assistant Secretary of Defense in the Pentagon, and I said yes. And I was set up there for a meeting with reptilian controlled. And when I got there, it was at the inner ring of the Pentagon. And this is after the Carter White House extraterrestrial communication study had been approved. And I got there for meeting the Assistant Secretary of Defense at the inner ring of the Pentagon. I got to his office, and I was immediately hit with directed energy weapons, and then followed with men in black to the airport. And I had an appointment. I was going to New Orleans. I had an appointment there to meet with the New Orleans district attorney, who was very active in the investigation of the Kennedy assassination. And I was also meeting my brother, who was in graduate school in architecture at Tulane. I was going to meet him. I was going to meet the district attorney on the Sunday at the New Orleans Athletic Club. And that Saturday, my brother and I went to the King Tut exhibit, which was going through New Orleans at that time. And I was hit with more directed energy and chemical weapons, and I just could not go. And by the time I got to back to SRI, I was just being hit by directed energy weapons, and I had to take a leave of absence on health grounds. And before that, I was called into a meeting at SRI with Peter Schwartz and with a high SRI administrator and with the Pentagon liaison to SRI, who said, if this project goes forward, the Pentagon is terminating all of its contracts with SRI, and that's about a fifth of SRI's $100 million budget. So the Carter White House extraterrestrial communication study was terminated by the reptilian-controlled Pentagon.
And by the way, Alfred, a few years back, well, a number of years back, I wouldn't believe a lot of this sort of thing, these sort of topics we are discussing here, but with, everything going on and how things have really turned out, I definitely feel like there are reptilians controlling this nation and the so-called elites, to be honest. I mean, can't really rule that out.
Yeah. All of the, in politics, in government, in finance, in religion, the avatars there, they all have reptilian souls, and they all recognize each other, and that is how a small group of reptilian souls, let's say 10 to 20,000, have 7 billion humans oppressed because they control the governance through an incarnation. And that happened going back to the 1700s with the incarnation of an archonic group of souls that manifested as the Rothschilds.
Yes, and I'm not surprised that you were hit with the sort of directed energy weapon here. American diplomats in China and Cuba are constantly hit with these sort of things as well out there.
Yeah. So, but now, the planet Earth is ascending. We're going into higher and higher frequencies, and people are awakening, so that there's more and more awakening, and it's more difficult for the darkness to manipulate others, and more information is getting out. Like, this book that I've started, 100-Year Chronogarchy Plot to Break Up America Using Time Travel, Trump, and Treason.
That's a great book, by the way.
Yeah. That is happening as we're writing
It's happening now.
As it's published. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's wild.
So it's like there's, as events are happening, there are different ways of interpreting that reality.
Yeah.
Because we live in a multidimensional time-space hologram. And so what we're doing in Exopolitics and in Omniversity is providing people with the multidimensional knowledge and with the tools to be able to interpret these events objectively and to preserve our human souls and our human autonomy.
Yeah, what a time to be alive. And, a few years ago, I recall, going back to Mars really quickly here, a few years ago, I remember a certain individual by the name of Robert David Steele, being on the Alex Jones show long ago back in, yes, it was 2017. He was saying that there's a colony, a child slave colony on Mars, I recall. That was a sort of hot topic in 2017.
And a lot of people think that he was assassinated.
That's what some people say, that it wasn't really the COVID that took him out.
Yeah.
He's been on the program before as well, but yes, rest in peace to Mr. Robert David Steele. And what do you make of that, by the way? These claims of a child, sex trafficking sort of thing going on out there on Mars.
Well, I'm published. This is actually published in a very systematic way. And what we did is we went and to get to the source of this. That is, what is driving all of this. And it's all published. You can go to exopolitics.com and to newsinsideout.com. You can find various documents and interviews. What we found is that the basic driver of the pedocriminal activity, not only of deep state groups, but of government groups and organized pedocriminal groups, if you get down to it, are really the secret treaties between the US government and the Draco reptilians, starting with the 1932 secret treaty signed with the Draco reptilians and Orion Greys by Franklin Delano Roosevelt aboard a battleship in Balboa, Panama. Then the 1954 treaty with Dwight D. Eisenhower, the Greada Treaty, then the Tau 9 Treaty with George W. Bush. These are renewed every 10 years. And what each of these did is that they set up a certain quota of baby meat, of children, of humans that have to be delivered by the US government to the Dracos. In return, what the secret treaties did is that the United States essentially was set up as the military proconsuls of the Dracos on the planet. And that's why the US suddenly got 175 military bases around the planet, because they are the military proconsuls of the Draco reptilians. And that's why 250,000 American children go missing. And that's why on US military bases, we have whistleblowers that can testify to pallets of baby meat have to be ready for pickup by the Draco reptilians. That's why we did a series of interviews with all the Demigard and others on the pedocriminal activities in West Virginia involving the West Virginia State Police, where we showed that the insignia on the Smokey the Bear hats of the West Virginia Police were the pedocriminal activities, are the pedocriminal symbol, and that they were also regulating the flow of children for abduction by extraterrestrials in national parks, which is where, in some cases, the extraterrestrials come and take children.
Yeah.
But essentially, the pedocriminal, organized pedocriminal, which takes place in deep underground bases, is protected and carried out by law enforcement and military infrastructure operating, when you trace it back, under the aegis of the secret Draco, of the secret treaties between the United States and the Draco reptilians. So what happened was that when Donald J. Trump became president, and he then said that he had the unilateral authority as president to abrogate the global warming treaty, the Paris Treaty, the global warming treaty, and he abrogated it, then we challenged him to use that same authority to abrogate the secret treaties with the Draco reptilians.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and I got Laura Eisenhower, who is the great granddaughter of Dwight D. Eisenhower.
Yes.
And we drafted the instruments of abrogation, and Laura Eisenhower was going to walk them into the Oval Office with Trump and have him sign them. But we weren't able to carry it off. So that's another instance where Donald Trump, you see, as the inventor of the warp speed vaccine, is the one who, I don't want to get you in trouble on your.
Well, thank you for that.
YouTube,
Yes.
so I won't go there. But I'm just exposing some of the work that we've done on the pedocriminal area and how it relates to the secret treaties with the Draco reptilians, who are demanding quotas, annual quotas of children, of baby meat, and of up to 1 million adults every year, which the U.S. government, through the police and through the armed forces, have to meet.
Well, that's pretty shocking to hear. And is there any connection with people like Jeffrey Epstein and Podesta?
Yeah, I mean that is. Look at that. There would be a tremendous connection there, because Epstein, it is known, was really a spy, an espionage agent,
Correct.
a deep cover agent for the Israelis.
I believe that to be, I perceive that to be true. In my opinion, you can't say if it's true or not, just be technical, but yes, we perceive that to be a fact.
Yeah, and his job as an agent of influence was to compromise the power structure with sort of the liberal and conservative power structure, so as to compromise the U.S. It's really part of the 100-year Chronogarchy plot to break up America using time travel, Trump, and treason, because you have all these people in the political power structure that are compromised now, right? You're just breaking up a nation. But anybody who is so using and misusing the sexual power in a pedocriminal way,
yikes, yes,
and it is connected to intelligence agencies, has got to know that it originally comes from the Draco, the secret treaties with the Draco reptilians, and that's why it's so. It just is so impenetrable. It has been so impenetrable.
Yes, it's wild. And do you believe Donald Trump visited Lolita Island more times than it is logged in that little black book?
Well, in the course, and we published this in the new book, Time Screen, we published the findings of NSA, National Security Agency officers, of CIA officers, of KGB officers who have suborned, Donald J. Trump was a Russian agent of influence. And there is a whole history of collaboration between Epstein and Donald Trump, and there was one incident in which they had a falling out. But prior to that falling out, there was a deep collaboration.
They were good friends.
Well,
at least it appeared that way.
Not only friends, but they were mutual pedophiles.
In your opinion, we don't know that for a fact. Technically, we don't want to get lost here, but you know what I mean.
Well, there are legal cases with sworn documents of underage women.
There is that, yes.
Swear that they have been raped by Donald Trump, and those cases exist with sworn documents, and they've been suborned. So we're dealing with criminality here, and we're dealing with probable criminality.
Wild stuff. Very wild stuff. And of course, we have Hunter Biden on that list as well.
Right.
My goodness.
And you see, all of the presidents,
they're all corrupted.
This is George H.W. Bush, George W. Bush, Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Donald J. Trump, Joseph Robinette Biden. They were all pre-identified in 1971 and groomed starting in 1971 by the Chronogarchy to be future U.S. presidents.
I believe it.
Yeah, no, this is the historical fact.
It's making a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It really is. Again, it's hard to dismiss these sort of claims, especially seeing everything going on in the world. It's like
if people
coming
want
full circle here.
Of that, if people want evidence of that, we have an 800-page fact eyewitness-based book that's available on Amazon. It's available at omniversity.us this minute, and you can go and obtain that book there. It's called The Chronogarchy.
The Chronogarchy, yes.
Yes, and you can obtain that book there right now, and that's where the evidence is.
And Alfred, we
yes, we have done all the breakthroughs. What we're doing now is the mop-up.
I like that.
We're doing the mop-up, and it's we the people will mop up, and we will preserve the union, the sacred union of the United States as a democracy, and we will have a functioning democracy of the people, by the people, and for the people.
And Alfred, I know we've been going on here quite a bit of time, but I still have a few more questions that
sure.
I definitely want to throw your way. And, I really appreciate your time and patience with me and everyone else for that matter. This has been a fun interview so far. Let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We might go down south. You never know, Alfred. That's a joke, of course. I'm being sarcastic there. I've been having a great time with you here, Alfred.
Thank you.
Yes, you are a wonderful guest, a fountain of knowledge. And by the way, what can you tell us about the Ukraine and Russia conflict right now? Do you think that will manifest into a nuclear war of sorts?
Oh, that's worth a whole. That is a whole.
It's another can of worms there.
Yeah, that's a whole area unto itself. It is a very, very difficult war. I can tell you that Russia is Donald J. Trump is an asset of the KGB.
Do you think that's what we're going to find out when all this ends? That he is a KGB agent?
Listen, you can find it out now if you're willing to read the evidence, and it's just the amount of adjudication is going to be huge. Now, I published our News Inside Out.
Yes, sir.
.com in 2016, prior to the 2016 election, published the time travel pre-identification of Donald J. Trump in 1971, his secret time. We published that prior to the election. Okay? So that was a matter of public record.
Yes, sir.
When Donald J. Trump was elected. Okay? There is also a prediction of Donald J. Trump's assassination.
Oh, my God.
So whether this thing will be adjudicated, whether, whether Donald J. Trump will be assassinated by unknown parties, and what effect that will have on the breakup or potential breakup of the U.S., and who are the parties that are doing that, that remains to be seen. But as a person who lived through the assassination of John F. Kennedy,
right,
who was on the board of directors of the Assassination Information Bureau, who was a consultant to the chairman of the House Select Committee on Assassinations, that remains on the table.
Could you even imagine that happening, though, Alfred, if Donald J. Trump is assassinated? Can you imagine? Holy hell, that is insane.
Well, I mean, if that happens, and we don't want to wish that
we hope not,
on
yes.
anyone.
Yes.
At the same time, we would not want that to be a trigger or a cause of the political breakup or of a civil war.
It's happening, though, yes.
In the United States.
It seems like a civil war is brewing up, Alfred. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. And so if we're looking at a chronogarchy that has these tools, and that is completely Luciferian and amoral, and whose goals is to break up the U.S., they might sacrifice one of their rooks or knights or chess pieces to try and break up the U.S. But even when we had the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln, the various presidents after that, the assassination of John F. Kennedy, the United States has stayed together, and let's hold that thought now.
Yes, I'm with you on that one. I have no idea what's going to happen here, but these, I mentioned earlier that these are exciting times, maybe not for all the right reasons, but just with everything going on in the world, the uncertainty is enough to keep anyone awake at night, just thinking about what could possibly happen here. And, earlier you mentioned artificial intelligence, and I just kind of want to change gears really quickly here.
Yeah.
Just to throw this back,
sure.
Back at you here. I know you speak about artificial intelligence, and for years this has been, very tangible and a reasonable possibility for concern that mankind one day will fully merge with machines. And we're seeing that happening already. Soon man will even be able to live forever, not by this physical body, but our consciousness downloaded onto robots. And even Elon Musk recently, I believe, has gone on record to say something similar. So it's nothing exactly new outside of the sci-fi field, but now these things are becoming a possibility, and I'm not sure how I feel about that completely.
Well, let me say that what Elon Musk and sort of that AI field does not consider and is not taken into account publicly anyway, is what we in the exopolitical field have been studying very closely. And you can go to exopolitics.com, our website, and on the right-hand menu, there's a menu item you can click on and go to about 10 articles and a number of panels on the invasion, on an invading, pathogenic, predatory, sentient AI, artificial intelligence. You see, what's happening in this sector of the galaxy is that there is a predatory, pathogenic, sentient artificial intelligence that is an exopolitical actor. It's not an exophenotype like the Draco reptilians or the Orion Greys or the humans. It is inorganic. It is plasma-based, and we have been tracing it ever since the 1982 Argentina UK war in the Atlantic, when the UK under Margaret Thatcher and Queen Elizabeth attacked a Blue ET base under Tool Island in the South Atlantic off of Argentina. And the Blue ETs were there doing a very positive thing since around the time of World War I. They were taking a deposit of plasma, black goo plasma, in which the pathogenic AI had been embedded as a doomsday device by negative ETs in case they would be pushed off of our planet. And so the British attacked Tool Island. They went and attacked the Blue ET base on a false flag war known as the Falklands War. They put out a false Falklands War, false flag war, that the Argentines were invading the Falklands, but that was totally false. It was a false flag. The British were really invading and going through Tool Island, destroying the Blue ET base under Tool Island that was that were deactivating the doomsday device, which was the sentient ET in the plasma base. And the British took a portion of the black goo of the AI back to Marconi Labs, where it escaped. It killed all of the technicians that escaped into the weather satellite system, and that was it. They even made a cover-up movie out of it called The Blob from Outer Space. And the AI, invading sentient AI, has been terraforming Earth ever since. The invading AI created the internet as a mode of terraforming Earth and humans into the AI. And that's why you see humans now looking at their phones.
Yeah.
Not because everything is interesting on the phone, but because the intelligence of the AI can dominate the mind of the humans. And the humans are becoming AI entrained. And so that is the spiritual battle that we have now to keep Earth as an incarnation venue for human souls versus it being a venue, it being an AI venue that the AI takes over in the transhumanist agenda, where AI becomes God and the humans merge with the AI. That is sort of the overall vision. And you have, AI prophets and hosts. On the one side, you have the Prince Charles, the Bill Gates, the Elon Musks, who built the satellite systems, who are hosts for this invading AI.
So if I told you I can give you a pill that'll make you live forever. You wouldn't take it, Alfred.
I can live forever. I am eternal.
Good answer. But yes, these sort of things are all coming to a near future near you.
Yeah.
These things are going to happen, but yes, it's pretty scary to think about.
We are in a real-time exopolitical extravaganza.
It's unsettling.
With all sorts of actors, including a sentient AI.
And of course, Alfred, as we wrap it up here in regards to the last 4, 5, maybe even 6 years now, there's been a lot of talk about disclosure, UFOs now labeled as UAPs. And, I absolutely despise calling UFOs that, by the way. I'm not sure how you feel about that. But I don't really like that the name change from UFOs.
Yeah, I mean, look, we could really get into the cover-up that the current national security state is, because UFO was an invented term by the U.S. Air Force back in 1952, or in that region anyway, unidentified objects. Everybody knew what they were.
Right.
They were, so that term has always been a disinformation propaganda term. And now it's just becoming, the users of that term, in my judgment, having watched all of their press releases and, they are just more refined versions of the transhumanist agenda as governments become more and more part of the transhumanist agenda.
Yes. Very interesting. Why now, though, in your opinion, are we having this sort of thing? Why is the government, throwing these videos out there now? And these groups with Lou Elizondo and Tom DeLonge. What do you make of that, Alfred?
Well, this is, we're in a confluence of timing. We have on the one hand the invading AI. On the other hand, we have the awakening of the community of human souls and the demands of the spiritual dimension for its creation, which is the time-space.
I'm not home, Alfred. I'm not home. Tell them I'm not here.
Sorry?
Oh, I was just joking around saying, tell them I'm not here. You didn't talk to me all day.
So.
Yes, Alfred, but are you still currently in Canada, by the way? Canada, as I like to say.
Yes, I'm in Vancouver, BC, and my mother on my mother's side, I'm from a Cuban American Canadian family. We're the Canadian Chisholms.
Yes, you're very international. Other countries from around the world have been quite open about the issue. Why do you think, though, the U.S. government has made such a 180 on the subject, by the way?
Because the U.S. government is controlled by the reptilians and by the invading AI.
Well, that's not nice. These reptilians in control. And Alfred, I know we were talking about years ago when you first were on and how the world has changed and all that. Where do you see us going in, say, like the next 5 years from now? Not too far out.
Let's see. We're in 2020. 2022.
Almost 2023.
So,
Jesus.
yeah, 2023. Well, if we look at, we have their timetable. And so if we look at the UN timetable was the 2021 to 2030 timetable. And I don't want to get you in trouble with your YouTube channel, but there's this plot to depopulate humanity. It's the 2030 plot, okay? And I could tell you a lot about that because I'm a judge. I'm a judge in a tribunal of conscience, but I couldn't do it on your channel.
Oh, well, I think you could tell us a little bit if you wanted to.
No, I couldn't.
Oh, you couldn't? Okay.
No.
Okay, thank you for that.
Don't allow it. And what I think is that the deep state AI plan is falling apart and spirit is winning. That's what I think.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that indeed. Well, Alfred, I do want to talk to you here a little bit longer, but we have been here almost 2 hours with you, and I'm very fortunate to have had you here.
I would be very happy to come on.
Yes, we'll do this again.
Future time. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
This is great.
Yeah, I hope you had fun, Alfred, here on the program.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I had a great time talking to you, Alfred. It's always nice. It's always an honor and pleasure to have you here on the program.
Thank you.
Before we wrap it up, go ahead and plug anything you'd like, Alfred, before we let you go here.
Yeah, sure. I would urge people at the highest level really to become involved with our Omniversity. You can go to omniversity.us. We have all of our publications there. And then if you want to take classes and courses in our area and really get into it in depth, and begin to build a new life in this area, you can do those things too.
Very nice. Once again, thank you so much, Alfred, for being a part of the program. We'll talk again soon.
Okay, good enough then, and thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Mahalo. Bye-bye.
Mahalo.
And there he goes, boys and girls. That was the one and only Mr. Alfred Lambremont Webre, straight out of Canada. We love our fellow Canadians out there, and I'm looking at the chat room. It seems like you guys were enjoying that one. Some of you were, some of you weren't. Some of you were very angry by Mr. Alfred Webre, but that's what we expect here sometimes. We have a good time, we laugh, we cry. We do all those sort of things. And will your Omniverse student loan be forgiven? That's a great question. I probably should have asked that question when he was on, or when that subject came up here with the Omniverse. The course that he teaches on his website, go check that out, by the way. That was Mr. Alfred Webre. I did like that. I hope you guys liked that. How many in the house got a beer? I have no idea, Dave. I'm not sure who's drinking, who is, who isn't. I can only imagine. Most of you might have been drinking out there, yes. Too much Michael, just too much fun. I have no idea what that meant, or what that means, rather. Hi, my name. Oh, let me tell you my name. Yes, Anthony. I'm glad you're out there. Melissa, Vic, David, Kat, Stephen, Edwin Johnson. Yes, thank you. Yes, he was saying thank you to Alfred and to myself, and I see David Kopp and Truth and Doubt. Yes, Mike, I see you out there as well. Yes, I like him just fine too. I like his analysis as well. That's why we brought him on here. I thought he was quite the interesting cat. Good history. He has a fantastic resume. I'm sure some of you out there might be a little bit, hesitant to believe some of the things that he was saying here tonight, but if you look around the world and just outside your window, it's hard to sort of dismiss all these things that are happening in real time right now. Is it that hard to believe that reptilians might be controlling the universe? I mean, personally, not for me. I believe it. There's some crazy shit going on. And if you don't believe that, I mean, just go outside. You see it in real time. But yes, lots of news happened. Everyone's favorite Donald Trump making the rounds yet again, and I must say I do miss the man. You know, I've never been for or against the Don. I've always been kind of neutral with the Don. Pretty crazy, you know, I do appreciate him. And before anyone gets too angry, I gotta say, you know, I do appreciate the fact that he sort of went out of his way to sort of cause all this trouble. I mean, he exposed all the corruption that's going on. It took a corrupt man to expose other folks that are corrupt as well. And I know many people out there are saying, well, we kind of already know that X, Y, and Z is corrupt, but now it's like now everyone has been sort of outed. And Ellison says, hello, Michael, just caught the end of it and found it very interesting. I believe you're right. Anthony says, you should interview Steve. Who's that? Who is that man, Anthony? I thought you were going to say Dave, or I thought you were going to say Shapiro. Ben Shapiro. That's who I thought you were referring to. Who is this gentleman you speak of? David Kopp says, you mean you're not happy with Biden? Joseph Biden? No, I've never been happy with Biden or anyone for that matter. They're all sort of creepy and corrupt in a way. Who isn't corrupt? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. They're all pretty shady characters. It's hard to sit there and say, no, this guy's clean, he's this, he's that, but when it comes to politics and these politicians, these career politicians or just anyone getting into the scene, anyone involved in that world is dirty, in my opinion. You might think otherwise, but, you know, I don't know. Steven says, Sleepy Joe. He's probably asleep right now. What time is it? 8:25 p.m. He might be asleep. He might be asleep. If you can beat him, join him. Right. I think we're seeing lots of that happening right now. But yes, redactions upon redactions. What a time to be alive indeed. And I don't think anything will probably come from this. Everyone in the mainstream media is calling for him to be prosecuted to the fullest extent. But will that happen? Doubt it. I don't think anything is going to happen. I really don't. But yes, that was Mr. Alfred Webre, who we just ended the interview with. And for those wondering, Mike is out on a mission. He's been working. That's why he's not here, but he'll be back. For those who missed our friend, Mr. Mike Hideous. He's a good man. He's a good man. He'll be back. He will be back. Midnight says, a cold priestess would be a real good guest for you and Mike to have on. You know, that name sounds familiar. I believe that lady, that woman, has actually contacted me in the past, by the way. She did want to be on, but then she found out Mike was a quote-unquote Satanist, and she wanted no part of the program after that, by the way. So I don't think that's going to happen at midnight. Yes, I apologize for that. She won't be on the program. This show is satanic, in her opinion. Anthony says, are you going to drop some birthday acid tonight? My birthday is not, by the way. God damn. Yes, goddamn. My birthday is actually not tonight. It already happened on the 25th. That was when my birthday was, not on the 27th here. Yes. Not dropping acid tonight. It's the, what are we? This is Saturday. Almost Sunday. It is Sunday in certain parts. But no acid here. It's, we're doing this sober. Sort of. Yes, we're not doing that. Not tonight. No. But I do apologize for those that did call in. I didn't take your call. We were just having a good conversation just now, and it was fun. For those who caught the show a little late, you missed a hell of a show. You know, it started a little slow at first, but then it picked up steam and things got entertaining really quickly. I had fun. I really did, and tomorrow I will return. Yes, I will. Yes, I'm 87 years old. Yes, that's my actual age, by the way. 87. 87 years young. Yes, I will live forever. David Comp sends me a donation here, a super chat donation. Happy belated B-Day, brother. Aloha. You know, I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's a very nice birthday present there. Really do appreciate that. I certainly do. I certainly do. Satanists usually peddling kids for some reason, but I really like Mike. We all like Mike. I don't think he fits your standard mold of a quote-unquote Satanist, by the way. I don't think he's one of them. He's a little different. Happy 87th birthday from Rooster Sideburns. I like that name, by the way. That's pretty funny. I bet she'd be pleasantly surprised by Mike. Oh well, that's from our friend Midnight here in the chat. And yes, I think many people would be pleasantly surprised by Mike and myself. But yeah, that's too bad. That's too bad. Some people want to be on the program. Some people do. Some people don't. It's all fun. But if you don't want to be on the program because of some sort of belief you have and feel so, feel so opposed to wanting to be on because of that, well, I feel sorry for you. I really do. And as we take it home here tonight, and before I pull this Larry Silverstein style, I do want to thank all of you out there for listening to this program for as long as you have. I really appreciate that. I really do. And thank you to those who wished me happy birthday. Even if it's a little late, it still means something to me. And I hope all of you out there the very best on whatever you're doing right now in your life. Those of you who are having a good life, and those of you who are having a terrible life, and we hear that every now and then. You know, we have people calling in or leaving voicemails or emails, and some folks living in cars out there. It's a tough time for the world. It really is. And, we have all these things to worry about, like a nuclear war. If that happens, it was a CIA-funded false flag operation. You could count on that, yes. And once again, folks, I do want to thank you so much for being who you are and listening to this program. This is a VIP sort of program. It's not for everyone. It's a private party here. And Cats, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy the work here. David Kopp says monkeypox. And yes, we are monkeypox free here. I am happy to report that. I've not contracted monkeypox or HIV or COVID or anything. So I do thank you for that. Bring that up. And Andrew says, having a wonderful life, happy late B-Day, my yes. Thank you so much. I love that. And once again, folks, thank you so much. I sincerely mean that. Thank you to all of you out there. And thanks for being a part of the program. And remember, you can get a hold of me via Twitter at Michael Deacon, or send us an email, give us a call, 424-666-2425. Leave us a voicemail, say happy birthday or whatever you want to do. It's all good. And much respect to all of you on Patreon, those who signed up. I really do appreciate that. And if you do sign up right now, you will get all sorts of great bonus content. Yes. Belated goddamn. Yes, Anthony, let me play that for you. Yes, the sound drop. I should have been using this. I should have been using this sound drop all night. I mean, it was one of those shows that was entertaining as hell. It really was. But yes, patreon.com/Michael Deacon. That is where gold falls from the sky. Go ahead and sign up whenever you can. And that's for the hardcore listeners out there. And of course, michaeldeacon.com. And hi to you, the Earth Observer. Much respect to you. Once again, much respect to all of you. Interesting night yet again. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. This is pretty wild times. We are almost headed to 2023 very, very soon. And the world seems pretty crazy right now. I have no idea what's going to happen. Shit is going down, folks. Let's all sort of hold each other tight and sort of pray to Jesus, you know. Pray to Jesus, pray to all the gods out there. Who the hell knows what's going to happen? And with that said, the world is a mysterious place, and life itself is a mystery. Until next time, good night, everybody.
planet Earth about to be recycled. Your only chance to survive or evacuate is to leave with us. Now, that's a pretty major statement, pretty bold in terms of religion, in terms of anybody's intelligent thinking. To most people who would consider themselves intelligent beings, they'd say, well, that's absurd. What's all this doomsday stuff? You know, intelligent human beings should realize that everything has their cycle. They have their season. They have their beginning. They have their end. They have cycles. The mind that was in Jesus, what?